Hello everybody, Intuition here. Thank you as always for making time and space for us. Today we would like to discuss falling in love with yourself. Seems simple, but apparently it's quite hard for many people. And we would say that it is difficult for people to fall in love with themselves because the mere act of falling in love with yourself or with anything will incur an injury. As destined in the name, falling into anything, you're going to injure yourself. To fall is going to hurt. And so to fall in love with yourself is going to hurt a little bit. And it also means that you are no longer staying in a state of stability, because when you fall, you are not just falling out of nowhere, you are falling because you are losing your balance. And when you lose your balance, you then fall, and then, consequently, you hurt yourself. So, to fall in love with yourself is quite silly. That is what many people warn against. Isn't that the tragic flaw of narcissism? They fall in love with themselves. They can't stop looking at themselves. They're very egotistical. They could charm only themselves and not anybody else, because again, they are so in love with their own image and what it is that they believe that they are seeing that is invaluable about themselves that it turns everybody off. And so the real question is, why would you want to fall in love with yourself when there's something a lot more healthier, something that doesn't incur an injury, doesn't make you come out of balance within yourself? Because falling in love, love itself is just a state of being. And a state keeps you stuck. A state is built upon boundaries. And boundaries only allow you to go so far within those boundaries until you hit a wall. And then therefore, love does not allow for a full continuum of growth. It only allows you to move from one boundary to the other, going back and forth in a perpetual state that does not, again, allow you the movement or freedom to understand beyond love, because love is not the end goal. To love yourself is a nice place, we suppose, to get to. However, for that to be the end-all place is limiting, because, again, you are coming out of balance within yourself to get to a state that is not the end goal, that will only keep you in a place for as long as you continue to maintain the same idea of yourself. But you are always growing. So then therefore, how could you maintain a fixed state of loving yourself if you are always ever evolving and changing? And so then therefore, the idea of falling in love with yourself is maybe not the way to go. What is far better is to continue to evolve with yourself, which means that I'm not putting a value-based judgment, which means that I'm going to be rendered falling in love or out of love. Because love is based upon a perception. It is based upon values. It is based upon good, bad. It is based upon I prefer this or I don't prefer this, as opposed to accepting all it is that you are, which then therefore allows for a fuller continuum of growth, which means that you are evolving with yourself. It means that you are not in a fixed state. It means that you are able to move as you move. As your perception grows, you expand, and as you expand, you are able to evolve more into yourself than if you just keep your focus simply on the idea of I love myself. So, to love yourself is great, but know that to love yourself means that you had to fall and incur an injury to get there. And sometimes when you fall, it's hard to get back up, depending on your agility and adaptability. And so, again, what we recommend is not to fall in love with anything, but to simply move with everything. Because as you move, that means that I'm accepting what it is and acknowledging what it is that I'm coming into a new awareness of. I'm growing with myself, and as I grow with myself and acknowledge and accept what it is that I'm growing into, I don't need to love it, I don't need to hate it, I don't need to like it, I don't need to dislike it. It simply is what it is. And when I allow what is to be, then I naturally evolve into it. And that will always be within my preference. However, if I'm holding values, good, bad, like, hate, to a concept of self, then that means I won't allow myself to grow, especially if what it is that I'm growing into doesn't match my memory of who it is that I think I should be. So love is limiting. Not just when it comes to loving yourself, but also when it comes to loving others. So you can love yourself. That is a beautiful place to be, but understand that you must leave all places. Any space and place, at some point, you must go. And again, if love is a destination, then at some point, once you get to that destination, it is time to start going home. At some point, everything closes. And so, it might be easier to skip the whole love bit and just move into evolution and growth within yourself, which then allows you to always be riding alongside of your natural expansion in a place of preference. And because I'm not rigidly holding myself in a state, wherever it is I'm growing and expanding into is acceptable. So, just a little food for thought that may encourage you to see yourself in a more graceful manner. Because again, when I'm not holding myself to the image of I need to love myself, then I'm not holding myself to a rigid standard and idea that has to fit a certain value-based judgment of good, bad. Because at the end of the day, when I'm holding myself in that place, it does not allow me to expand in the way that I need to expand. And then therefore I will be stuck. And nobody likes to be stuck. Even if it means that you are stuck in love, nobody likes to be stuck in that. Because again, not that love is fleeting, but it is a natural human desire to want more. Yes, love is satisfactory, but it is not based in longevity. It is based in a temporary state because of the rigid boundaries that it is held together by. As always, we're full of gratitude for you making time and space for us, and we wish you well. Loving yourself, potentially, but also moving out of loving yourself and moving more into a more natural process of accepting and acknowledging all it is that you are, which means that you are evolving and growing with yourself. And then therefore you do not need to be stuck in a state and a place as abysmal as love can be. Well wishes.